Most people think logging in means you're safe. When you log into your phone, log into your computer, a website, or resource, you type the password and you're done. That's not actually how security works. Hey, welcome back, everybody. I'm Mr. Eccentric. Welcome back to Eccentric Tech TV, where we talk about everything related to cybersecurity and technology. And today we're talking about a concept known as Identity and Access Management, or IAM. All right. And so once you understand this one idea, you'll start noticing that you're gonna see it everywhere. You'll see IAM everywhere. Okay. And from your job to your phone to literally every account you own. So here's the misconception. People treat logging in on their laptops or phone, they treat logging in as the whole story, as if that one level of security, putting in your password, is it. But logging in is only half. It's only half of the story. IAM is actually two separate things working together. I'm going to explain that today. The first is authentication, proving you are who you say you are. Okay. The second is authorization. Number two is authorization, controlling what you actually can do or are allowed to do once you are already in a system. Okay. So authentication is the part that you already know. You put in your password, maybe you use two-factor authentication, you're in. Okay. So it's your password, it's your fingerprint. Okay. It's a code sent to your phone. That's the piece we already covered in the last two videos. Okay. Especially in the video about my passwords and how hackers love it, the passwords that you use. You can check it out. Okay. It's the lock on the front of your door. Okay. Basically checking whether the key basically actually matches before it lets anyone in. That's your password, right? That's also authentication. But authorization, number two, is the part that most people overlook. Most people never really think about. But as a cybersecurity analyst or as an IT professional, future professional, or if you're one now, this is something that you need to know or you need a refresher on. So once you get through that door, once you gain access to a system, okay, what are you actually allowed to do? Think about that. What are you actually allowed to do? Okay. What are you allowed to touch? What are you allowed to open? What are you allowed to write? What are you allowed to read? What are you allowed to change or delete? Okay. So think of a hotel, right? When you go to a hotel, whether it's the Hyatt, the Ritz-Carlton, the Holiday Inn, right? You go to the front desk, right? When you go to the front desk issues you a card. When you get that card, you don't have access to every room in the hotel. No, you have access to your room, possibly, of course. And you may have access to the pool, of course. You have access to maybe the gym. You have access to maybe certain lounges, but you don't have access to the manager's office or to the security's office or to the IT and the server's office, right? You don't have access to other people's rooms. You don't have access to maybe C-suite bars or to the C-suite level of the hotel if there one exists, okay? That's what you call authorization, okay? So you're authenticated at the front desk. They check your ID. You're allowed to get your card, but authorization is about what you're allowed to do, where you can go in the building, and what you can access, okay? Whether from your room to the closet to the basement and everything in between, all right? So now that you're authorized, basically, you need to understand that this concept applies to workplaces. So workplaces run on the same exact idea, right? If someone is in the HR department, they can access all of the employee files, PII, related to the job, W-2s, etc., 1099 contractors, health insurance, everything. However, the IT department may not have access to the HR files, and the HR department may not have access to the IT files. And a user in the company, someone like yourself, you may not have access to either one of their areas of the corporation or the network, or you may not have access to the IP etc., etc. Okay, so basically, this is often called the principle of least privilege, or rule-based access control, or role-based access control integrations. Principles put together, frameworks put together, built on each other. Okay, integrated. So everyone gets access basically to exactly what their roles require. Okay, and nothing extra. Okay, so, and here's why this matters. It matters because a lot of major breaches don't actually happen because they don't really happen because of a hacker, or a hacker broke down the front door. Usually they happen basically because of social engineering. So hackers can use tactics like brute force at times to get into the front door, but usually the human factor through social engineering, meaning employee clicked an email link that was sent to them because it promised them a cash prize if they clicked this link, right? Or maybe because someone got one of the employees' key cards because they left it at a bar, dropped it in the parking lot, or they found it in the mall fitting room. Okay, so basically, often through something as simple as a phishing email, like I said, one can gain access, and that one employee who clicks that email and that happened to have access to way more systems than they needed, perhaps because maybe RBAC wasn't enforced, or the authorization wasn't curtailed or customized to allow the employee to have access to only what their role needed. If someone gains access to that employee's credentials, who has way more access than their scope of work, then a bad actor can leverage that and move throughout the network and access other critical areas of a network. All right, so this idea even applies to you personally. So for example, you have Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, social media platforms like Facebook, or maybe you have platforms like Microsoft or Google on your phone or on your computers. You give access or authorization when these apps ask for access to your cameras, to your contact list, for example, to your location, right? They don't need that access. And sometimes we just tap allow without thinking twice. So here's your free tip. And here is an actual way to get hands-on experience practicing IAM. I want you to go and look at all of your applications, go to your general settings, look at apps, APPs, and then look at permissions for each of those apps. Ask yourself, do all of these apps, do they need all of these permissions? If not, you can just simply turn off the function. Okay, so here's the takeaway. Okay, understand authorization, understand authentication, authorization, understand RBAC, role-based access control, and rule-based access control. Understand that you can turn on and off the authorization that someone has as it relates to your apps, and that in corporations, we need to implement these rules, the rules and the principle of least privilege. Okay. All right. So if you found this video interesting, please click like, and don't forget to check my last videos. All right. So just to add to the quick recap. Okay. IAM stands for identity access management. IAM, identity access management. All right, it's not just a login screen. It's not just about your password only. Okay, it's those two things working together: authentication, proving who you are, and authorization, controlling what people can do and what you actually can do once you are inside a system. So both pieces matter equally. All right, so remember these two concepts. Okay, one without the other leaves systems and the door wide open and leave systems vulnerable. Okay, so we've already covered passwords in my last video, multi-factor authentication as well. All right, so in my next video, we're gonna dive deeper into two-factor authentication, multi-factor authentication, tokenization, and how this adds an extra layer of protection to provide a defense in-depth strategy for systems, networks, and corporations, businesses. Okay, so the second layer that makes the first door even harder or even more resilient is multi-factor authentication. We'll jump into that. All right. So if this video helped you in any way, please like and subscribe. Share the video with others. And thanks for taking the time to check out Eccentric Tech TV. I know the video is a bit long, but I want it to be in depth. I want it to be thorough. All right. If you want to learn more about IAM, you can check out the links. We can see the links. If the link is not in below, then check out the links here in the video on the screen. You can practice IAM at these free resources and learn more about IAM. All right. It's Mr. Eccentric, and until next time, peace.